Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. This is Life in Denver. I am Joe. This is my business partner, Monique. Today we got a good one for you guys. Cold one, bit of a brisk morning here. As you can see, we're jacketed up, but still out here for you guys. Today we're gonna be running through everything you need to know about living on the east side of Denver versus the west side of Denver. So pros and cons to both, but with that being said, let's jump into it.
All right, guys, and per usual, since I am the mom, I like to focus on the schools. One of the things that you do get if you are living on the east side of Denver, you do get access to one of the top school districts in the metro area, which is Cherry Creek Public Schools. And one of the cool things is that there are various schools located throughout the district. So if you're living in, Southern Aurora, South Shore, that particular area, you have access to Cherry Creek schools. And if you're, living a little bit north of that location, you also have access to those schools. So definitely a pro in terms of living on the east side of Denver.
Definitely. And then one more thing to call out too for that east side. So the east side specifically is going to have just really good access to shopping. Southlands Mall over in that southeast portion, like Monique's calling out. That's going to be one of the best shopping districts really in the entire metro. Maybe you can make the argument Park Meadows over in Lone Tree might be a little bit better. However, other than that one, there's really not much that comes to mind. Not to say that there's not other options, but Southlands is going to be one of the top options. So you do have great access. Just that whole area is very laid out, just very, very well on the commercial side because they've thought things through, almost reminiscent of like a Highlands Ranch in the sense of they've really master planned a lot of those communities. They've thought through what are you going to need in your day-to-day. So you can really access almost everything you're going to need in your own little suburbia there.
Right, and beyond the shopping, they do incorporate a lot of community activities. So they have like fall festivals, they also have the theaters right there. And if you do go during like winter, they have like a little ice skating ring. So definitely, great option for shopping, outdoor activities, and having a good day with the family.
Yeah, definitely. The eastern side of Denver, what you really tend to find is it is a lot of first-time home buyers. It is a lot of, just young families. So it is very family-oriented over there. So it's a really, really nice spot if that's what you're looking for. If you're coming to the area for the first time, you want to make sure your kids have other kids they can interact with, have friends with and everything. That's a really, really nice area to start with. All right, guys, so next piece for you is price point out here on the eastern side. So that's one of the biggest draws to the eastern side is depending on what part of Aurora specifically you're going to live in, you will find a good entry price point. But again, a quick little reminder for you guys, we are licensed realtors out here. So that number popping up down below, any questions you have on pricing, on areas that are going to fit your specific needs and your situation, reach out anytime. We'd love to help you with that. But with that being said, jumping into price point. So depending on what part, Aurora spans the entire eastern side of Denver is what you come to find. There's certain, anomalies like Commerce City out there, etc. But for the most part, we're talking Aurora. And so being north, central, and southeast, what you tend to find is the northern and central portions of Aurora are going to be that, I don't want to say lower price point per se, but it's going to be good entry pricing versus that southeast portion is going to be that higher, more premium price point. So just depending on what you're looking for, what your price point and your personal goals are, you're going to have an option across the board for whatever it is you need. But just throwing that out there in terms of there is definitely optionality for everyone.
Right, and one of the things too to note regarding price points and development and all of that is that Northern Aurora is undergoing a lot of development. Particularly, we are seeing a new master plan community, the Aurora Highlands. We'll be talking about that in another video, guys, so stay tuned for that. But we do want to call out with that development, there is also a lot of new commercial retail infrastructure that's being built within the city. So right now, if you are a health worker looking to move to Aurora, there are a lot of hospitals located within, the vicinity. Also, a PepsiCo bottling company is actually going to be developed and built in Aurora off of one of the main roads, which is Tower. And so it's going to be a huge, massive facility in terms of, offering jobs and offering growth in the area. So definitely a good time to get in if you are looking to make the move to Colorado and you are looking to move into Aurora. All these developments are new, they're coming in to the area. And so definitely something that you want to consider.
Definitely. Monique is your woman. She lives in Aurora. She knows Aurora like the back of her hand. She makes a great point though. So over there, you see just sprawling new builds everywhere. They are just, that's where you're going to find the best new build communities in terms of having a ton of options to pick from. You find stuff from even like the low fours all the way up to the $1 million price point, right? So it is whatever you want depending on your price point and your budget. But there is just a ton of just different options to choose from. So Aurora could be that perfect bet for you, especially if you're new, like we were saying. There's really just a nice community feel in that area. There really, really is.
All right, guys. And since Joe did talk about the community and the community feel, one of the things I do feel Aurora is very unique in is the diversity in the sense of food and shopping options for groceries. So one of the biggest things for me is I do like to go out and try different foods. You have wonderful Ethiopian restaurants, you have wonderful Thai restaurants, you have wonderful variety in terms of finding, mom and pop's dining areas that are really authentic and flavorful. So something that's really unique to Aurora And I feel like that's one of the biggest things too, like why my family and I like being out there is sometimes you do want to go and have, you know, an authentic meal. Not to say Denver doesn't offer that. There are definitely locations within Denver, but Aurora does definitely have a wide verse of like restaurant options and ability for you and your loved ones to go and try new food.
Yeah, absolutely. Aurora actually, honestly has some of the best food in the entire metro, and it is always like, that's where all the new hot restaurants tend to pop up. That's a great spot for it. Two, like I love sushi, for example. They have H Mart over there that has all the sushi grade, like salmon, tuna, all that great fish. So that will save you a ton of money. You can make, you know, a little sushi at home even. So
you're gonna become a chef.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't cook well, but I can make some sushi. So that's a good time. But the other thing to call out too for that east side is obviously, you know, you have DIA over there. The east side has great access to the airport. So if you're someone who wants to travel just for pleasure, whether it's for work, whatever it may be, you're gonna be able to get to DIA a lot of the time in like 15, 20 minutes, depending what part of that east side you're on. So that's really, really convenient, just great access to have that versus coming from that west side. Obviously, you're driving all the way either through the city, around the city, wherever it may be. So if you're someone who wants to travel for business a lot, maybe that is a spot for you to be on the east side. So just something to call out. It's very convenient over there.
Right. One of the things too is you have easy access to E470. So E470 is a big toll road that actually does run between, it actually connects Parker, which is south, all the way up to Denver and Aurora. So you could definitely take, you know, the E470 toll, buy the little thing that you put on your car and pay and, you know, get to the airport within that 20 minutes. If you are running late to the airport, if you have kiddos, that tends to happen to me sometimes. So definitely something worth calling out.
Definitely, guys.
Another important point to call out for you guys is, you know, basically proving that there are things to do out in Aurora, contrary to what you may have heard.
You'll defend Aurora.
There we go.
To the dad.
Thank you. There are a lot of fun things to do outside regarding if you are living, you know, to the east of Denver. So one of the most popular things that people like to do, especially if you're in Southern Aurora, is do spend time on the water in South Shore. So it's definitely around the Aurora Reservoir, and you have access to paddle boarding, and you can, you know, go outside, set up a little area, lay on, you know, your man-made beaches and have a little snack, have a charcuterie board, charcuterie board over there, and get on the paddle board and have a good time with your family. That's one activity. Another one you can do too is if you are outside at the Southlands Mall, you know, you can go ice skating during the winter or enjoy some of the activities that they have going on in the fall and in the summer.
Definitely. So what you find in, you know, Aurora and most of the new build communities across the board is they try and just center it around one masterpiece. So whether it's being by the mountains, whether it's by the reservoir, another one to call out for you guys is Blackstone Country Club. That's a whole, yeah, of course. That's a whole new build community that has a big golf course right in the center of it. So for all you golfers, if you're not into the aquatics, if you like that more, that's another great option. And it's great proximity to South Shore. So everything South Shore is the option. It has to offer in terms of, you know, the Southlands Mall and whatnot. You can obviously pick up all of that still living in Blackstone as well. So whatever it is you're looking for, a lot of these new build communities have something really fun to do outdoors. So just because you are on the east side of the city, don't feel like, hey, there's nothing to do, like the mountains are too far away. You can still access the mountains, and there's a ton of fun stuff to do locally as well. All right, guys, so wrapping up on the east side, just two quick things to call out for you guys. Got to bring it full circle with a couple cons. Not even cons, but just like things to look out for per se. That east side being a little bit flatter, a little bit, you know, not up against the foothills like the west side would be, it's going to be windier. It's going to be more like a Kansas in a sense, where the further you get east of Colorado.
Like a Kansas?
No offense to Kansas, I prefer eastern Colorado. However, what I will say is it's just going to be windier over there. It just is what it is. So that's one thing to call out for you guys, just something to consider if that's something that is a concern for you guys. The other thing to call out for you guys too, like I was just mentioning, you know, you definitely can access the mountains, but of course, being east of Denver, mountains are west of Denver, it's just going to be a further drive. So if you're a big snowboarder, if you're a big hiker, if the outdoor activities are really what are drawing you out here and it's specifically something in the mountains, perhaps the western side of Denver is the choice for you. Just something to call out. Either way, great pros and cons to both sides. With that being said, we're going to jump into the west here in a second, but just wanted to wrap that up for you guys and kind of bring you full circle in terms of things to consider depending on your own lifestyle and your own personal situation.
All right, guys, and like we talked about the schools on the eastern side of Denver, now we're going to talk a little bit about the schools on the western side of Denver. Since I am the mom, Joe always likes to give me this topic, so I will be covering it. You're welcome. Schools on the west side of Denver tend to vary. However, you do have access to great school districts like Littleton. You also have access to, you know, the Boulder School District as well if you are in the northern west side of the city. So definitely great options and great access to schools if you are, you know, looking to live on the west side of Denver.
Definitely. There's going to be variance in, you know, whatever suburb you're looking at on that west side. It's not like the east side where it's really just like two main school districts. The west will have a ton. So depending on whatever you're looking for, if schools are or are not important to you, of course, we always call out resale as, you know, they should be important to you. But there's definitely options for everybody in terms of all that. Now, in terms of shopping, comparing that back to the east side, like we were calling out, has Southlands Mall, which is just, that's a whole destination in and of itself. On the west side, specifically like the northwest and down, there's not a ton of options. What you tend to find is most of the shopping ends up almost being like south of Denver, right? So you're going to find like Lone Tree has Park Meadows, like we were calling out. Castle Rock, of course, has the outlets. Centennial has like a little shopping mall in there as well. So there are options in that general area. However, what you tend to find is it's not going to be something to the scale of south of this mall, right? Like I live in Littleton, as we always talk about, and there's not really like a great big central shopping mall. I tend to always go to Centennial whenever I have those needs. So just something to consider, you know, obviously not a make or break by any means, but if shopping's something that's important to you, maybe pick something more on that southwest section as opposed to that true west section, like a Morrison, a Golden. They will definitely be lacking in shopping. However, where they lack in shopping, they more than make up for in views. So it's just whatever your personal situation is. All right, guys, so next piece over here on the west side in terms of just job market, price point, all of that fun stuff. Obviously, you gotta, you know, pay to play out here. In terms of price point on that west side, what you're gonna find is the closer you get to those mountains, it's like being closer to the water, right? In Florida, for example, or California, whatever. That beachfront property reflects a premium price point. The mountains tend to do the same just because there's only so much room to build before you actually hit the mountains and you run out of room. So that western side, for the most part, is going to be a little bit higher than that east side, right? Obviously, Southeast Aurora has a bit of a premium placed on it, so that might be, you know, more reminiscent of the western pricing. But as a whole, like if you take northern and central Aurora and try and compare that to like northern and just regular western sides of the Denver metro, those will be a higher price point. You tend to find a lot of entry pricing in the 6s, some in the 7s, depending on the suburb, right? And then all the way up above that $1 million price point, of course. So again, whatever your personal situation, there's always going to be pricing for everybody. You can even find condos on that west side if you don't want to buy the full, you know, single family house. So definitely something for everybody, but just always like to throw that out for you guys in terms of price point and budget and all of those considerations.
And because you're worried about your budget, thank you, Jones, working about the budget. You also want to touch upon the job market. So
good jobs to support that.
There you go. Exactly. Because like Joe said, you need to work to play.
Yeah, pay to play.
Play to play. There you go. Thank you. And so definitely one of the cool things to call out about the western side of Denver is there are a lot of tech companies, particularly in Boulder, and a lot of options as well in the Denver Tech Center. Denver Tech Center is more southeast, but also a lot of opportunities in terms of job growth and opportunity for employment to be able to support that expensive lifestyle.
Yeah, just something to call out for this whole area, right? Like I feel like we're saying like, oh, east and west, like it's two different worlds, but realistically, like Colorado and Denver specifically is very easy to get around. It's not like a New York or a Boston where it's very, very difficult. And if you're on the east side, you're staying on the east side, like you can easily get from, say you pick a western suburb, right? And there's not a job market right there in that town that you like. You can easily go south. You can hit Lone Tree. You can pick up whatever suburb it is that you're working in. Very like 30, 45 minutes at most, I would say. Like it's very easy to get around and pick up the job. So if that's a commute you can live with and you really are falling in love with something on the western side, not to say rule it out, just something to consider that you can definitely navigate around pretty easily as well.
All right, guys, and one of the things to note is that if you are living on the western side of Denver, you do have better access to the Rocky Mountains. And so definitely a perk if you are one of those people that likes to go up for the weekends, whether it's to see the fall colors, whether it's to go like mountain biking, depending on the activities. If you are looking to spend more time in the mountains, we would definitely recommend you to make that move onto the western side of Denver.
Definitely, not to say that you can't do biking locally, as you see the bikers flying around behind us. We're over here in a little state park right now. But there's a ton of great parks over there on that western side too. So, you know, we call that aquatic activities over at, you know, the Aurora Reservoir.
Right.
You do have Chatfield State Park over in Littleton. You also have Bear Creek. There's just a ton of other bodies of water you can obviously offer on that western side as well. So not to say that you can't enjoy stuff in the local metro as well, although the mountains are obviously a big draw for why people do tend to drive and live on that western side. One more thing to call out though, obviously we're saying how it's windier on that eastern side. The western side, unfortunately, not all sunshine and rainbows either. That does have its own weather issues. So just something to consider, obviously, especially if you're going to be someone who does have a daily commute. You do have heavier snow accumulation, just some, you know, more adverse weather on that western side. So the further you get closer into the mountains or truly touching up against the mountains, you know, depending on that neighborhood, you will have just heavier snow. And sometimes, you know, maybe leaving your house isn't the best idea and you're going to stay home that day. So just something to call out for you guys. But overall, great options, great pros and cons to both sides. So you're not going to make a bad choice. It's just, you know, depending on what your personal needs are, which side you should pick.
Guys, we hope this video was super helpful. Do remember that Joe and I are licensed realtors here in the state of Colorado. So if you have any needs, please feel free to reach out to us on the phone number. We are at the phone number listed below. We are the ones that answer the call, text, emails, whatever the case may be. And we look forward to hearing from you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
Definitely. If we don't answer your call, we're probably here filming a video for you guys, but we'll definitely get back to you. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.